Welcome to Buzz Talk Live Industry Perspective. My guest tonight, Tim Baker, started his career as a photojournalist and quickly became a commercial videographer. Later, he found himself working in the broadcast television as a commercial producer, director, and editor. But it wasn't until 1998 when his venture out on his own and started a video production company called Chameleon. And he never looked back. Since then, he has been working and evolving with the cutting-edge digital technology and creating and producing award-winning commercials, marketing and branding videos, infomercials, and much more. He also finds himself backstage as a video director and a vision mixer on many high-level corporate events. Tim is self-motivated and enjoys what he does and makes the people around him better at what they do. So please remember to use that chat and welcome Tim to the show. How you doing, Tim?
Good, Buzz. Good to see you, man. Good to see your face.
Good to see your face. So, welcome. Where I always ask, and I guess the viewers are sick and tired of hearing it, but where are we tonight? I know we're in warm weather climates.
We are in no longer sunny Central Florida. It's nighttime here now, but
Yeah.
Central Florida. We are in Claremont, Florida tonight. So.
Oh, Claremont. Okay. All right. Not
Yeah,
too far. Not too far from Disney, right?
No, we're about 40 minutes from the whole Disney complex, about 45 miles straight west of downtown Orlando.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, I would say you're keeping busy, but I can't say that. I mean, everybody is a little, I guess, not busy.
I actually, it's, I always say I can't complain. Oh no, I could, but nobody would care. But
Exactly.
I fell into some editing about 6 weeks ago and was fortunate enough. I just wrapped up a 6-week edit on a production that used to be a live event show and is now all going streaming. So there was a
Right.
lot of
Yeah.
content that needed to be
There's a
pre-produced.
lot of, trying to get different technologies of what we do in our field, and I've known you for many years, Tim.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that back in the day, we did a lot together with Rocky Graziano
Yes, with
and
Rocky.
all his productions that he had us traveling all over the country with. And I got to know you pretty well, and you're such a stand-up guy.
Oh, well.
And you're good at what you do, man. Look,
I'm humbled. I'm humbled.
yeah, no, look, everybody has talent, and you, my friend, you have some talent. So tell me, how did you get into what you do, and the whole background?
It's well,
It's a long
it's kind
story.
of well, it is, and it's a bit of a checkered story. I have to take you all the way back to childhood.
Yeah.
And
Wow. Let's not go
it's
back
going to
into
be a
the
long one.
womb.
Well, I did not. I didn't have the best of childhoods. Didn't have the best of family environments, and
Okay.
television and movies and things like that, for like a lot of us in our industry,
Right.
was my escape. That was how I got away. And so I was really kind of bizarre and kind of a unicorn in the day, because I went into college as a declared communications major
Okay.
and never changed my major.
Where did you
Um,
go?
I initially started out at William Jewell College in Kansas City. It was a small private college. Went there playing football,
Okay.
but
Yeah, I remember you
unfortunately,
telling me you played some sports in college.
yeah. But unfortunately,
Don't
what
tell
the
me you
end
got
of
hurt.
well, I did. I actually did. It was really kind of scary, but I separated a shoulder, tried to come back, and the next
Oh
season
man.
in spring training, I had a heat stroke and
Oh
woke up packed in
jeez.
ice in the local hospital in Liberty, Missouri, and wondering what happened. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, you passed out in practice." So, kind of hung up
So
the
I mean,
cleats
were
for a little
you
while.
in sports? And let's stay there for a second. I mean, were you a player that could be possibly moved into in a more prominent position, going pro, or is it you just saw yourself as a college player and a cup of
No,
coffee?
I mean, yeah, every guy has that dream, but at some point you have to be
Yeah.
honest with yourself. And it was really kind of funny in the middle of all of my injuries and trying to come back and stuff. I actually transferred schools. Well, William
Oh.
Jewell was NAIA Division 1, I believe. They were really small
Were they
college. And
a football school or other sports?
they did everything, and they were pretty darn good in their conference, from track and field. We
Right.
had an Olympic swimming pool, had a great swimming team.
Wow.
It was a pretty good sports school, but I transferred schools, and when I did, I transferred to, at that time it was Missouri Southern State College. It's now Missouri Southern State University, and
Right.
walked on. I thought, you know what, I'm going to give football another chance. I got a redshirt year because of my injuries at William Jewell,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
was playing there, and had actually earned a scholarship. They had offered me a scholarship after
Is that
spring
right?
ball.
See, now
But
this I never knew of you. It had for you to come on Buzz Talk Live in about, I don't
well, there
know,
you
20
go.
years. No, I think I've seen you before that.
But the well, yeah, exactly. But the funny thing was in getting that scholarship, I kind of set myself down. And I said, you know what, where's
Yeah.
this really going to go? And I was like, I can go on and play. You know, right? Yeah. At that point, had no knee injuries. The worst thing I had was the shoulder separation, and so I got to looking at it, and that kind of became the impetus into my step into television. And
Right.
because I started looking around for jobs, and I actually got a full-time job as a nighttime news videographer or photojournalist.
Oh, okay.
While I was, dude, I was carrying like 16 hours in classes and working nights. I'd go in at like 4 o'clock, work through the 10 o'clock news in the Midwest, and
Is that right?
shoot stuff after the news. If something happened, I was there to go run out and shoot it.
So you got the
And
bug. You got the bug, and
I did well, and I was already getting it from the television program there. We had a PBS station there on campus, and so I was already running camera and stuff like
oh,
that. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to see where I can take this. And again, it stayed in that kind of world that I wanted to create
yeah,
and be creative,
right,
and it
right.
kind of stepped into that. And the funny thing was the communications department there at Missouri Southern required a mock interview in order to graduate. I got I got offered my second job in television and broadcast TV in that mock interview. The guy just stopped and he said,
No
"Look,
way.
yeah," he's like, "Look, I got a job opening up in 2 weeks. I strongly suggest you put an application in." And I'm like, professors are setting their jaws on the table, and it's like, pass, pass, pass.
Oh my
So I was
God.
just, and that was, so I landed my second job. I had a year of full time experience when I graduated college. So not
Wow.
too many people get that.
So, I mean, it suffice to say that you develop your skills as a videographer, handling cameras, and then were you in the control room, or was it just on field stuff, or what was
It
it
was
back
funny
then?
as in photojournalism, especially night side. I
Yeah,
mean, you were everything. I mean, I literally did everything
yeah,
but stand ups in front of the camera. And so I was going to the going to the events, whatever the news event was,
sure.
taking the notes, shooting the footage, come back, edit it, write the story out, and then the nighttime anchors would read it.
So
So
you were
it's,
you were writing the story out too?
yeah, a lot of times.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So you're producing, you're writing too. Oh, God. Editor.
Well, and that's what I've always joked about, and which it's funny because it's come full circle now within the
Yeah,
COVID thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is I've always joked with people that my whole career has been a blessing and a curse, because I've always had to know how to do everything. And it's just simply from where I started out. You had to be a one man band kind of
Yeah.
guy, and
That's the best way of not learning, but learning to do everything is so much better than just knowing how to do one thing.
well,
And
I mean, you and I both know those guys that pigeonholed themselves and they
yeah,
just wanted to do X, and
right,
that's all they ever wanted to do. Well, now you're not marketable.
right,
You've got to be able to get out there and offer their skills. It's so funny. There's a brilliant guy that I got connected to on Facebook, that he runs kind of an incubator and kind of a business growth kind of thing on Facebook. And he posted last week, what's the big lesson you have learned through the whole COVID thing?
right,
And I posted back and I said, diversity of skills,
yeah,
because I'm still marketable. I'm still, thank God, getting
right,
work when a lot
right,
of guys I
right.
know aren't,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no. I mean, uh, yeah, I don't know how this is all going to shake out when all's said and done, Tim. But there's going to be a lot of people in different positions, in doing different job skills, and
Oh yeah.
uh, you know, I I don't know.
you got to keep learning, and,
Yeah.
and that's something that my country boy just came out there learning. You got to keep learning. You got to keep learning,
You do.
and that's one thing that I always have done through my career is just made myself an informational sponge. If that new camera comes out, I want to know something
Right.
about it. If that new switcher
Exactly.
comes out, I want to know something about
You
it.
know,
You can't just
aside from Buzz Talk Live, which this is a new whole learning experience for
oh,
me.
and incredible, by the way. I love it.
Thank you. No, but as far as learning the whole virtual stuff too, I mean, working with Todd Showman, who has developed this, this company, ReadyStream, and he's knocking out of the park,
Yeah,
and offering clients such a I don't know, a unique experience doing virtual meetings, and
nice.
it's incredible. I'm working on a project now with him, with another producer, and it's like you feel like you're in the hotel. There's waiting rooms, there's virtual lounges, there's breakout rooms.
Nice.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I'm doing it all from my home, and I have a multi monitor in front of me and seeing all the streams, seeing all the sources, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing that we don't have to jump on those planes and fly to San Francisco anymore.
No,
You know?
and I tell you, I hope they don't get used to it. Because that's.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, getting back to your background now. I mean, so you coming out of college, you're what was your first, like, I guess, getting into the real world of TV and broadcasting.
Well, I mean, it actually kind of happened right there during that second job that I got offered. Coming out of college,
Right.
we produced the local college's athletic show. Actually, then it was Coach Broyles. It was the Coach Broyles show. And so we produced the football show for them. We produced a ton of just industrials, a lot of commercials, and that was kind of my first step into creative, being able to go out with a camera and actually work your craft instead of,
Right.
back in those days in news, the only guy that got to shoot creatively was the feature reporter's camera guy. He got
Yeah.
to shoot the cool stuff. The rest
Yeah.
of it was all sequences. They just wanted wide, medium, tight, wide, medium, tight. That's all they preached in shooting news. And so I knew I
Well,
had to get out of that.
that's for the edit. I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's
Exactly.
all B-roll stuff, and but and then I mean, you gathered all that information, and you learned different skills, and what did you say? Someday you're just gonna go out on your own.
It was funny. During shooting one of those coaches shows, I met my future wife, and
Okay.
it drove me to start looking for another job because I went back to my station manager. I said, "Look, I need a raise so I can marry this girl," or I said, "I'm leaving." And
Is
he
that
said,
what
"Well,
you
you're not."
said? Is that what you said?
I did. Because she was in Alabama. She lived in Alabama. I was still living
Oh,
in Missouri. And I
okay.
said, I got to have money to, 'cause I mean, dude, I was working for below the poverty level in the state of Missouri at the time. It was so funny.
Yeah,
You end up with
yeah.
3 or 4 camera guys in the house trying to live together. And,
Oh
and
my
he said, "Well, you're
God.
not getting a raise." And I said, "Well, then I'm leaving." I gave him 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in Florida. Was a TV station hired me down here sight unseen as their creative producer for their commercial department.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and it kind of went from there. And so then I did that worked there for year and a half, 2 years, another 6 years at another TV station that hired me away from them.
Yeah.
And then by that point, you kind of, you hit this, especially in broadcast.
You hit a wall.
Um,
You hit a wall.
well, you do, because the problem with working in a broadcast TV station, especially starting in the mid 90s,
Hmm.
if you couldn't legitimize your raise or an equipment purchase through the news department,
Right.
you wouldn't get it because you became the ugly stepchild. The production department was the ugly stepchild in
Mhm.
the station because everything was news, everything. And I actually worked at what was called, it was the first LMA in the country. It was the local management agreement. So we had 2 affiliates under one roof.
Hmm.
And so it became even worse. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
I went in for a raise review after, it's like 7 years, and the station manager's like, "Well, you kind of kept out on your salary range." And I'm like, "Well, where's my reason to stay here?" And so that's when I quit. Started my own production company, and never looked back,
I
really.
never looked back. Just like the script says.
Exactly. There you
So, I mean, so you get into your own now. Obviously, you took a chance, like we all do. That we get into our own business, and
Yeah.
you have, but you all the networking that you did prior to that, were breadcrumbs, and
Right.
that you kind of lean back on, and did that help you along the way of creating clients and reaching out to people?
Well, it did, because within being the commercial producer at the last TV station that I was at, I was the senior producer before I left in the production department. And
Hmm.
within that, I mean, literally, the salesperson at the TV station would say, "Hey, we sold X a commercial. Go meet with them." And so, okay, I'll take my notebook and go meet with your client. And literally, I would sit there in the meeting with the client, come up with the creatives, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Schedule the shoot day, come back, shoot it, take the footage back to the station, cut it together, send it to the client for approval, get approval, send
right.
it up to the
Yeah.
traffic department,
Oh my
and
God!
I mean, it literally was the full process was my responsibility. And and
Wow.
again, it's that blessing and a curse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Having to do it all,
Right.
but I
Right.
knew how to do it all.
And
So,
clients see right through that. They see that you're
oh
on the
yeah,
ball, and that you're a creative person. So it's
yeah.
that's really good. So I do have a couple of clips I want to
Oh,
show tonight. But before I do that, I do have some production shots that you gave me. Actually, you know what? We're gonna do the clips first, and then we'll
oh,
go
okay,
back to the production shots,
cool.
because I think that this one this one tactical. Let's set that one up first. The tactical shoot that you did.
I'm trying to
It's
think which one
guns.
you've got. Is
It's guns.
well, exactly. It's cool. It's cool guy stuff.
It is. It very cool.
It was really kind of funny, and I know guns is kind of a taboo thing with a certain crowd, but the thing is I got connected with a group of guys about 8 years ago, I think it was, and they were all former special forces.
Okay.
So cool guy points right there. Bing!
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
and never having served, I always had an affinity for those guys that have served our country. And so I fell in with these guys, and we did a huge training event for the Orange County SWAT here in Orlando.
Hmm.
And it was just incredible. It blew me away. I was like, I cannot believe that these guys can actually do this. I mean,
They're
they're,
badass, man.
oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
And even the SWAT guys, I'm telling you what, it was a 24-hour, what they call an iteration. And the only time they stopped was to take a drink out of a canteen or eat a
Wow.
power bar
Wow.
for that
Wow.
24 hours. And I mean, they're carrying sandbags for a mile, running back, grabbing another sandbag. Dude, it was crazy, and it blew my mind. And I'm
Where
like,
where was it
wow.
shot, Tim?
This, I think the particular video that I gave you was actually shot on my buddy's range in just outside of Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
And so they're developing their own training facility, because their goal is to there's a lot of military presence in Florida, but
Right.
so
Right.
they're hoping to be kind of a training destination for that, but also three gun events. I don't know if you've ever seen any video of three gun events or anything like that. It's some
No.
really cool competition, but it's all firearm related. It's
Right.
shotgun,
Right.
pistol, and rifle is the three gun event.
So
And my
this
buddy Tim
tactical
Burke.
clip that we're going to see, was this a promo piece?
Yeah, yeah. This was a creation by my buddy Tim Burke. He was an Army medic, assigned to a special forces group, and so I always joke about if there's a real live, gosh, I'm trying to think of the movie series. Oh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank now.
That's
But
okay.
he's just phenomenally trained, and the dude knows his craft.
Really.
And he's also a health nut. I mean, the guy is just physically fit to the nth degree.
Wow. Wow.
And so he came up with this. At that time, it was called Tactical Athlete Games, and which now the name has changed. It's now just Tactical Athlete, and it's just exploded. If I remember right, the last time we talked, I mean, he's got the guys that started CrossFit behind him.
Hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
it's really
Wow.
kind of a cool. It's really kind of a cool thing.
All right. Let's take a look. That's really cool. That's cool stuff. I mean,
Well,
you know,
some, some,
to be athletic and go through with all that gear on, man. They
oh my
have like
gosh, dude.
tons of gear on, and
Yeah.
they
And
and
that's
they
actually a scaled gear package that he's wearing. I mean, normally it's 70, 80 pounds of gear with
wow.
backpack and yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
then they
crazy.
got to, they carry the weights and they
Yeah.
train and oh my God, and then they have to shoot the gun. So you imagine when you get down to actually have to trigger a gun, it's like,
Well, and that's the thing is knowing and having the ability to do that under stress and duress.
right.
I mean, that's
Well,
what it's
that's
all
the other
about.
thing when you're confronted, with someone, a foe, and you have to, take him out or whatever.
Exactly.
You go through all that training so you get to that point and you can break through
Right.
and finish the job, and
Yeah.
without
You
having
learn
any
to control that
hesitation.
adrenaline and everything
Yeah,
else that's
yeah,
flowing
yeah.
through you. So,
Well, that's just it. I mean, I mean, thank God I've never been in that situation, but you know, being confronted like that, and
right.
but these guys, it's a cup of coffee for them. I mean,
Oh,
Jesus.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the stories Tim has, you're just
Oh, I
like,
can just
whoa.
imagine. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Remind me never to get on your bad side.
Oh boy.
Uh,
Yeah. So I mean that was pretty cool. I mean, you used some effects on that,
yeah.
and
Well, and so and the funny thing, some funny backstory on that. It literally was Tim calling me, dude. Can you come down and shoot this weekend? We got, we need to get a promo out. And so literally, and dude, it's hot as Hades. We go
uh,
down there. I mean, it had to be 110 that day. I mean, it never gets that hot in Florida, but it felt like it. I mean, but heat index it was probably 120.
oh
We're
God.
running around on sand, which is like running on top of a mirror in the blazing sun.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
literally, I just captured a bunch of footage and came back and put something together because we had no time to plan or script anything out. I'm just like, all right, dude, let's do this. Let's do this.
Right,
Load some
right, right.
guns for me, load some mags. So it was hilarious.
Oh man. No. I mean, what did you use? Do you use After Effects? What are you using in
Yeah. Well, and
production?
it's funny. One great resource. I'm going to show how lazy I am as an editor here, but a great resource for a lot of us editors out there have become these sites that just put up these templates, and they're like ready-made templates for After Effects, and you can a lot of
So
times you
you
can
let
drop them
everybody
straight
else
into
do the
Adobe.
work, and you just come in and drop it
Exactly.
in. Beautiful.
But the cool thing is 90% of them are editable and you can
Yeah, yeah,
customize them. And so
yeah.
I did a ton of customization of that. But at least you save
You had a
6 or 7
starting place.
hours.
Yeah, you had a
Yeah,
starting.
you
Yeah,
save
it
four,
cuts
five,
down
six hours.
the edit time. Absolutely, yeah, because
Exactly.
you have someone else doing that template, and it saves a lot of time and cost for the
Big
client.
time. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I do have some pictures now. I have you're on top of that guy with a tripod and shooting down range and looking
Oh
at.
yeah, so this is more promo stuff of Tim and getting ready actually this was we were shooting some promo stuff for him because he was getting ready to do a speaking event to a men's
Oh,
group in Orlando,
okay.
and so this was a totally separate shoot, but yeah.
Yeah, wow. And what camera were you using, Tim?
That's actually my Panasonic. That's the 170. It's the HVX 170
Oh, okay.
or
Okay.
HPX 170. I'm sorry.
Nice, nice. I mean, just do you have a drone? Do you use drones too, or no?
I don't. I started to get into drone years ago, and I was actually kind of on the cutting edge of it. And back when drones were 40 grand a pop,
Right.
and I started to get into one. But the ones I was looking at, would carry a full size Beta Cam or a full size Airy,
Yeah.
something like that. And so it was ridiculously priced at that
Oh my
time.
God, yeah, those are so
And then once the
pricey.
price dropped, I mean, it's like everybody and their dog jumped in and bought one. So I'm like, you know what? There's a reason other guys own drones. And of course, I told everybody, I said, look, I said, all these people buying drones, 9/11, they're
And
going to come out
let me
with
tell you,
licensing and
the drone
restrictions.
technology has come like unbelievably less expensive now. You
Oh,
can get a drone in the palm of your hands that shoots 4K.
oh my gosh, dude.
That you can. It's incredible footage. I'm even thinking about buying one. I mean,
Oh,
it's
dude.
just
Well, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I have some of the technology. I mean, because like DJI, which is one of the
yeah,
major manufacturers, I've got their little, their version of the GoPro, and I've got a little
right,
gyro.
right.
I mean, it's great stuff, and they've literally just taken the cameras off their drones and given them a hand mount.
Yeah, that's basically what they
So it's
and they're
all
doing a
gyro.
lot of using that technology in a lot of a lot of production skill, not production skills, but I guess the added production value you would put into making a piece with cranes or jibs.
Oh yeah.
They would replace that now with drones. I had this discussion
Oh
with
yeah.
somebody the other day, and that's what they're doing. And it's
Yeah.
they can. I mean, if you have the right pilot, you could fly that through a doorway, and
Oh,
it's
incredible
incredible.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
incredible stuff.
crazy stuff that, what they used to, I mean, it used to take days on a jib or something,
Right, 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 right.
a couple hours on a drone and you're done.
So now, I mean, we have I have the Yowza, the Core X that
Oh,
you you're exercising. You did some infomercial stuff,
yeah.
and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, these guys were an interesting client, and I had them for probably 6 or 7 years as a client. And they started out real small, but the gentleman that was backing them actually owned the rights for Reebok outside the U.S.
Hmm.
So he was a Taiwanese gentleman, and he owned all the rights, and so he was trying to find something that would compete with, like Bowflex or something like that. And so he
Right, right.
he created this company, and it was interesting. It was a pretty good run with these guys. They were great to work with. I mean, they kind of let us. My good buddy Darren Dyer. It was actually his client, and then we teamed up together and knocked out the productions. But
Yeah, I have a clip. Let's take a look.
cool.
Hi, I'm Bob Boone, fitness enthusiast and personal trainer, and I'm here to show you how you can flatten your stomach, strengthen your back, and build a powerful core in the comfort of your own home.
Introducing the Core X machine from Yowza Fitness. This revolutionary machine lets you exercise in the most comfortable of positions, standing up, while putting constant load on all the muscles of your body's core region. Core X's secret is the counter-rotational motion, which gets both your upper and lower body moving in opposite directions to tone and sculpt the muscles with no strain at all or risk of injury. See the Core X and more Yowza Fitness products at yowzafitness.com.
I've got Keith Wallace here with me to help show the many benefits of the Yowza Fitness Core X machine.
I've always been a big proponent of.
Wow. Now I know Saturday mornings, watching those infomercials, I know where it all comes from.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny. And remind me, Buzz, was that the one on the white psych with the three talent, or was that?
Yeah, the two
Yeah.
people on the two trainers, and then the
Right,
trainer.
right.
But spoiler alert! Come on, Tim, you got to spill the beans on this. The people that use the
Dude,
apparatus.
I kid you not. We talked to the two fitness talent, like 2 days later, and they're like, "Yeah, I didn't feel a thing." and we're
I
like,
knew
"Okay,
it.
well, don't tell anybody.
Don't
Just
don't say anything.
don't." Well, and it was
Yeah,
kind of funny.
Please don't say anything out
Yeah,
there.
don't
Please.
say anything.
Yeah, your secret's safe with us.
Oh my gosh, it was because especially the guy. I mean, of course, he was ripped anyway, but he was like, "Yeah, I didn't really feel
What I'm talking
anything," and
about.
I'm
I
like,
mean,
it's,
whatever. I mean, it serves a purpose. Look, you're moving your body,
right.
and
Well, exactly. It's
it's
some
better than
form
sitting
of
on the couch. You're moving your body and you're doing something and twisting.
exactly.
You can
But
put on
that
Chubby
was
Checker and twist
that
and
was a
stuff.
really fun shoot though. We shot
Yeah.
for, I think that was a 3-day shoot at Chapman Leonard Studios here in Orlando, because they had the Infinity Psych that we wanted to shoot on,
Right,
and
right.
we lit for like a whole day prior to, and
Wow.
had a pretty full crew. I think we had 3 cameras running plus a jib, and man, it was good
How are they
time
doing with
directing
the
all of
product after you?
they they are no longer in business. Yeah, they well, it was kind of funny. We like I said, they were real good to work with for quite a few years, and we got down to like the 6th year working with them, and you could kind of tell things were getting kind of wonky in the company, and they started making some claims that I was not comfortable with producing a video without putting a disclaimer on. And if you look at how I always say FAA. It's the FCC started clamping down.
Disclaimer as far as using the product the correct way.
Yeah, they were making claims with the way you could use the product, and that you would never. Essentially, they were saying, look, you can use this product and never get injured. And one of their big things was treadmills. And I'm like, look, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And if you look at how the FCC had started clamping down back in those days on even internet claims,
right.
And so we ended up in this dispute. I had to have a lawyer write up a whole
oh my God.
Indemnity clause that if I produced it the way they wanted to, that was the only way I could get my money. They wouldn't pay otherwise.
Oh,
so
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
I don't like it when it gets ugly like that.
Well, no, it wasn't ugly, but it was right there on the cusp, and I just told him, I said, fine. I said, then if you won't let me put the disclaimer on your video, like what the FCC says I should, I said, I'm gonna have you sign a clause, and they're like, fine, we won't pay you until we get the clause. And so yeah, so it was ended up 3 weeks later I got my check, but still,
man.
It's just one of those things,
I have some production shots of you doing on location work.
Yeah.
And you're meeting and greeting, and you're doing your thing out in the beautiful swamp pictures. I must say, that's good. Where was that?
That's actually that's a state park on the state line of Georgia and Florida. So the northern border of Florida there with Georgia.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But I love to shoot a lot of stills because it helps you work on composition without having to worry about moving. Which may sound kind of weird, but I've always loved composition. I love depth. Yeah. And until I started shooting with cinematic lenses, it was really hard to get depth unless you put something in your foreground. So you'll see a lot of my work. I've always got something in the foreground that leads to something in the background. Because that was always the complaint about video. It was always flat.
Yeah, so. a lot of the cameras that are made today take from that. So
exactly.
you got to have that in mind when you're composing a shot. That's pretty good. So I want to get into the Santa stuff. So I mean, Santa Claus. I mean, come on. I love.
Who doesn't like Santa?
Who doesn't like Santa Claus? But this Santa project that you were doing, tell us something about it, because it's when you told me what you were doing, it really struck a chord. And it's like Santa is real.
And it is, and thus the title, Santa is real. Yeah. A good friend of mine and a good man came up with this concept, and it's I've been involved now for probably, gosh, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years.
Really?
And he had worked on it like 10 years prior to that. So this is like a baby that was being birthed over like 20 years for him. And
what a great concept, though.
I mean, my gosh, dude. And so the whole deal was being people of faith and stuff, a lot of times Santa Claus really got a bad rap by the Christian world. And so his thing was, it's like, why can't we make Santa a Christian? And so that's literally what he did. Was he conceptualized a gift giver message of a faulty man that comes to be a believer and a man of faith, but he's a giver. He gives of himself, and thereby kind of comes into this whole mythology of Santa. And it I mean, if the funny thing is it's totally conceivable that and if you look at the true Santa stories that are out there. I mean, that's essentially what happened. It was a real person that became this gift giver in an area and then just became legend.
Right.
And it was really kind of cool. It was just like it was a group of guys. We were all in the same men's group together. He comes in and shares his heart one of these days to develop this story. And myself, good friend Donnie Keene, another good friend, we all jumped in, got behind it, and
Great
thought,
idea.
where can we take it?
Yeah.
And so we're all sitting around the table one day throwing out, ideas, how can we get a grassroots going to get this thing started and get interest to maybe create a feature film. And I said, well, let's give them let's give them messages from Santa. And then,
Right.
so then we kept massaging it. And then it became the Santa Talks, which is what you've got a clip of.
Yeah,
So
let's take a look.
We come from many places, different backgrounds, a variety of cultures. Some are old, some are young. We're not all the same. And then again, yes, we are. We look for love, hope. We pray for peace. This Christmas, my many Santa helpers, this is what I pray for. May we wake up tomorrow morning as children, smitten by wonder and simple surprise. Today, let us give with grace and receive with thanks. May we remember that all the children on the earth are our family. Together, let us bring the warm heart fire to every home. Well, it's that time, and I must be on my way. Just a simple reminder, get to bed early, and if you have a little milk and maybe a cookie, leave it on the counter for me. I can't wait to see you tonight. And tomorrow morning, have a very, very Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas!
And that, I tell you, just listening to that clip again, and the script and what the writer wrote, you can use that in today's world.
Oh, totally. And that's kind of the cool thing about it. And so Santa in that clip is JJ Rosella, who came up with the whole concept. I mean, he just a great guy, been in theater and kind of, independent film and stuff.
The Santa thing, man.
Oh, dude, it's so crazy. but I got to tell you,
sit on his lap. Well, maybe not now. Right?
But it was so funny. We found, and literally it's Santa's wood shop that we shot that in. But we're in a small little building in Maitland, Florida. They've got a historical park over there. And in the summer they have kids come in and they build birdhouses and stuff like that. Well, so it was the perfect location. But again, Florida, dude, it must have been 115 degrees in that shed. And for some reason at that time I had this little portable AC unit. So we set it up in there, and that kind of like kept us all from dying from heat stroke. But JJ's doing the talent. I'm shooting it. I DP'd it. We had a great guy named Dave
he's
Nixon.
in a Santa suit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And oh my gosh, and we almost killed him dyeing his hair. I mean, it was crazy because he's got like red hair. I mean, he's like,
oh, is that right?
So the total Norwegian looking dude with a battle axe, but and to get that white, it almost killed the poor guy.
Oh my
and
God.
so talk about sacrificing for your,
you have to do it for film.
Yeah. And so how that all played out was, I believe the clip we showed was the December 25th. So what we did is we released it as an Advent video. So there's a fresh video every day of December from December 1st to Christmas Day.
Cool.
And then there's actually 26 because
it's
there's
like
a
the
specialist.
calendar for the kids, the chocolate.
Exactly,
Yeah, you
exactly.
get
So
the
so
chocolate
instead
and
of
you watch
opening a
Santa.
little door, instead of opening the little door, you just watch a video,
And you
and
just watch
and it
That's
literally
really
has
cool.
been
It's a great
seen.
concept. Yeah, I mean,
And it's literally been seen by millions of people around the world. It's crazy, the response, and it gets re-released every year. We just do it. I mean, there's still the hope of creating the film and stuff out there, but JJ's moved on. He's now at Shenandoah University, doing a lot of stuff in the virtual reality world and stuff like that, and using
I tell you, it's
actors
very
and
well
things.
shot too. I mean, the whole,
Oh, thanks.
the way you lit them and everything. It was very well shot. Very well
Oh,
shot.
thanks. I appreciate it. It was a labor of love. I mean, because we all sweat and bled for it. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, that's when a project like that comes along and the subject and you just want to do it right and make people chuckle and be happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We need that in the world today. I tell you.
Oh, definitely.
So from Santa, we go to racing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Shea Racing. So tee this one up for us.
And I'm trying to remember. I think again, my buddy Donnie Keene somehow he knew the family. They were local family here in Claremont. And she was just a young girl that was getting into racing. And so we found out that she was actually going over, this was her first foray into this, whatever cup this was. I forget what division of racing this was, but Tampa actually has a great street course, and they have a couple of races over there every year. And so I went over and I said, hey, this is your first race. I'll come over. And actually I wanted to test my new camera, because this was actually the first use of the camera that I shot the Santa stuff with.
Huh.
And so this is my Panasonic camera with a lens adapter on the front. So I'm using old FD lenses that I bought off eBay.
Oh boy.
On the front of a 1080, standard camera, and with the lens adapter, then I could achieve the depth of field and some of the effects that I wanted. So it was kind of a neat little test.
All right, let's take a look.
Racing's not in my background at all. My dad went to go get his SCCA license almost 4 years ago by now, and he brought me along knowing that I'd get sucked in and get the racing bug, I guess, so to speak, how they call it. I've always had a really competitive side to me. I was a competitive water skier for 9 years, and so I've always had a need for speed, because even when the boat was going like 35 miles an hour, I was cutting across the wake at like 60. I've always liked cars and I've always loved driving, but my dad got me a Richard Petty experience, and I was 16 at the time, so I couldn't drive, but I was a ride-along. And I guess that's when I really fell in love with racing and cars in general. I got a competitive edge from a very young age, and I just grew up differently, and my parents have always been so supportive. I have the coolest parents in the world, and I thank them so much. And I guess they just they let me go the route that I wanted to go, and supporting me. And racing was not in the mix of things for me at all. And then I found it, and the hobby became a passion, and then the passion's become a career, and I'm just living my dream. Danica, Sarah Fisher, and there's so many other women like Allie Owens. They're paving the way for women in racing. And if it makes it easier for me to get in, I'm not going to complain. But I am Shea Holbrook, and I am a World Challenge driver. And I'm taking my route, my racing career, just a little bit differently from what they are. And giving back is such a passion of mine. And do good, and good comes back to you. And so doing these types of charity events, like I said, is a long-term thing for me. as my first professional race, we started out with a charity event. This is a completely, I guess you could say, charity-sponsored car. We partnered up with Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy, and Parent Project directly benefits a disease called Duchenne's. Duchenne's is the most severe form of the dystrophies, and it's unfortunately fatal. It affects my family, so that's why it's my charity of choice, and it obviously hits home for me. So raising awareness and funds throughout my racing career will be a long-term goal for me with Parent Project.
You know that she's very young.
Yes.
Very young.
I want to say she was 17 or 18
Wow.
when we shot that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. I mean, and you know, her family is afflicted with that disease, and it's she's racing for a good cause, and
Yeah.
I mean, down south, down in Florida, there's a big racing community. I mean, of
Huge.
you know, just people racing, and with all the, you know, the races that they have down there, you know.
Oh yeah.
The big
Yeah,
following.
Sebring's another big one. I mean, Sebring, you know, most people know Sebring, or of course Daytona with NASCAR, but
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
it's a big community.
Yeah, down south, NASCAR rules, man. That and football.
Yep. Yes, football. Go football.
Speaking of which, you know, I tell you, you've hit everything from infomercials to racing to Santa Claus, and now we go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Who'da thunk?
Really? Yeah. So you did something with Buffalo Wild Wings, and you know, you created this little spot for the. Now, how did this all come to be?
A couple of buddies of mine. I'm gonna have to. I think my light just. Oh, there we go. A couple of friends of mine are still photographers, and they landed the contract to shoot the bowl games every year that, you know, come here to Orlando.
Right.
And at the time, Buffalo Wild Wings was the sponsor of the stadium, and so you know, it was the Buffalo Wild Wings whatever bowl, and they had that contract. They may still have it, but I think they've kind of cut out a lot of the video shooting. But Buffalo Wild Wings is no longer part of it.
Right.
And so then, you know, after they shot stills for a couple of years, then the client wanted to add a video aspect and shoot a promo video of their fan experience and, you know, everything that they were doing for the fans when they come to Orlando. And so that's what I did. I covered that side of it for them.
All right, here we go. Let's go play some football. That's good. And you got on the field.
Oh yeah. Well, and the funny thing was so that was the Golden Gophers from Minnesota and University of Missouri. Well, University of Missouri recruited me through high school to play football. And another cool story coming out of that, another football story, was my old high school football coach was coaching the Golden Gophers.
Get out of here.
at that game. And so it was the coolest thing, dude. I got to drive down the night before, hung out with him and his beautiful wife down here in Orlando, had a little dinner and a
that's
beer.
awesome.
And it was so cool just getting to hang out with my old high school football coach. And then
Yeah.
unfortunately they lost the next day, but it was still it was such a cool experience. You know,
What
it's
a
like
great
to share that
experience.
experience
Yeah.
with my old coach. So
Yeah.
it was neat.
Oh,
And he was
wow.
very instrumental in my life. So it was cool to get to hang out with him. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that's so cool, man.
yeah.
Who'd have thunk it, man?
Well,
You're
dude,
shooting
it's the
something like this,
smallest.
and then all of a sudden it's your old football coach.
Yeah, it's the weirdest little small connections.
Yeah,
It's
it
the
really is.
bizarre things that happen.
I noticed, some of the shooting that you did in that one. I don't know when that was in the period of time when you were, because we were kind of jumping all over the place with your clips.
Right.
But you also do in the corporate world.
Right.
You do the happy face videos for
Right, happy face
clients and
Candace
stuff like-
modules.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But a lot of the client happy face videos that we show at meetings and whatnot, you take from what you do, in infomercials into this Buffalo Wild Wings clip and
Exactly.
all the
yeah.
other, all the other projects that you work on. You're giving those ideas into the happy face video
Exactly.
for clients in the corporate world. And I have you backstage. You're working switches, and you're in my world. That's my world back there.
Yeah, exactly. The wizard behind the curtain.
There you go. There you go. There's Tim. That's cool, man. I mean, look, you're all over the place, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually a shot from Cancun in January of this year. So I was down
Oh,
there
really?
in Cancun I was in Cancun for 8-9 days for a
Nice.
client.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's good to, really do everything. And that's what makes our business so fun, is because every job is so different, and every place you go, it's just different. It's not, you
Right.
go into the mundane, office every day, and you got the 9
Exactly.
to 5 thing going on, and it's everything is different, and every job is different, has its own challenges and risk rewards and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
that's good, man.
Well,
It's good.
and the one thing that's always kind of concerned me is, you run into that risk of, jack of all trades but master of none.
Right.
But when you can step in and be masterful in what they've asked you to do, then
You're
it
a
changes
hero.
that narrative, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, this guy's actually,
Exactly.
So-
The last clip we're going to show tonight is a pretty cool clip. It's a cattle drive that you were
Yes.
a part of, and that you worked on. So let's set that one up.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think they do it anymore. But this was like an every 10-year event in Florida, and what it was a 4-day cattle drive that commemorates the cattle industry and the cattle drives that they actually had in Florida. Yes, Florida, not Texas. There were actually cowboys were in Florida 40 to 60 years
I learned
before
something. Yeah.
there was ever a cowboy in Texas, and they were crackers. That's where the term cracker comes from. They used whips going into the swamps to drive the cows out to gather them and then drive them to railheads. And one railhead was actually in Fort Myers, where we used to live. And then another major railhead was right here south of Orlando, where Orlando was developing. And
again, very, very well shot. The photography on it, the sunsets, the use of I don't know if there was fog rolling in on some.
Oh,
of the
dude.
scenes. It was like
we literally, and it was so funny because the initial edict from the group that did the cattle drive was they wanted everything to be as authentic as possible. And so we started out, we were going to be horseback. And then my buddy finally pushed back. He said, but to get from the head of the herd to the back of the herd and shoot everything in between, horseback's not going to be real optimal. So they let us ride four-wheelers. So we actually had
Wait a minute, are
four-wheelers.
you a horseman though? I mean, are you able to ride and to?
Well,
have
I grew up
cattle?
I actually grew up riding horses. We
Really?
worked cattle on horses, and yeah, I was on the farm for 18 years before I left for college. So
Oh, yes, that's right.
yeah,
You were on the
yeah,
farm.
farm boy
I
makes it
forgot about
big.
that. Yeah, farm boy makes it big. That's
Um,
cool, man. So
but-
I never seen that. I've seen a cameraman on skis before, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen a cameraman on a horse.
Yeah,
That's
it started out. We were going to be horseback, and they finally let us use four wheelers. So, but thank goodness, because it's like, trying to swap a battery or a tape back, because that was all shot on tape based cameras. So
wow.
it was back just on the cutting
Well,
edge of
here's
1080.
an idea. How about a steady cam for a horse? All right.
Just
You
put
know,
that
you
on the
can
saddle
go
horn
ahead
and let the.
yeah, whatever. All right, let's take a look at the cattle drive.
Oh,
This is
cool.
really cool.
When the Pilgrims landed, there were men and women on horseback in Florida, herding cows on open range. A Spanish fellow named Ponce de Leon brought horses and cows to Florida 500 years ago, in 1521. And we've had horses and cows in Florida every day since. What a lot of people don't know is that was before they had them out west. Florida was the first state to have horses and cows. It was 19 years later that another Spanish explorer named Coronado took horses and cows to the American Southwest. We also had cattle first here in Florida. When people think of the American cowboy, they don't normally think of Florida, but that's really where it started. Of course, this was Spanish Florida then. People forget that Florida was Spanish for nearly 300 years. It was the Spanish who brought the horse here. It was the Spanish who brought cattle to Florida. It was the Spanish who brought citrus to Florida. It was the Spanish who brought sugarcane here.
Cows come from Florida. We were cowboys long before Texas, but we didn't have anybody write any fabulous novels about us, so therefore we were just and we were dirt poor, and we didn't dress. We was raggedy looking. One time Remington come down here and he said, four men walked up to a bank over there in Fort Meade, and he said all four of them didn't have on $4 worth of clothes between them. And that's about the way we were, and so therefore it was not romanticized like it is in Texas. That's the difference, but Florida was cowboys long before Texas. Really, Florida, when they began to really get in the cow business, was back during the Civil War. And Grandma said then when Florida, the crackers furnished them the cows, we fed the Confederate Army and fed the Northern Army too, because that's how they made the money. They buy that land for 5 cents an acre, and that's how these big old cattlemen. That's how they got the start. They called them wild. That the Spaniards had turned out. They just reproduced here in these swamps, and they'd just go in there and catch it.
I was born in a paradise. I don't live in a paradise today. It's been tore up by so many things. Well, with skyline bounds from east to west and room to go and come, I love my fellow man the best when he was scattered some. I've lived for this moment most all of my life, but beginnings and not endings put the edge on my knife. I've cursed too damn much, and I've never prayed well, and it may be that God decides to send me to hell, riding drag for the devil to pay for my crimes, but I'll be damned if I'll go before standing up time. I'm gonna die in daylight. I will not die tonight.
Wow. I mean, that was incredible at the end there. These people, it's like, where did you find these people? They're like out of central casting.
Dude, it's crazy.
The guy at the end, you know, the whole, everything he says, it's poetry. But I mean, to have a moment there, and
yeah, we were actually kind of shocked that that happened because
Yeah.
we'd been seeing him all week, and he was on this really cool, rustic wooden horse-drawn wagon and stuff, and we're like, hey, let's try and catch him tonight, and we caught him just right or something, man. But
yeah, man.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
I'll tell
moving
you,
stuff.
he opened up like a beautiful flower for you, because to cry
Yeah.
and to really, tear up like that,
Yeah.
that hit him,
Yeah.
and to capture that in that moment, that's gold, man. I mean,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you have something like that, you cherish those moments, man. For
Yeah, I was
sure.
gonna say, you don't get those very often. You
No,
don't
you
get
don't.
them.
Especially,
No.
that's like, my God. And then
Yeah.
that woman,
She
where
was
do you find these
awesome.
people?
We actually went back later. She lived in a little town called it's Indiantown, Florida.
Wow.
And she was just the best, and we fell in love with her, and we drove back later on, and just chatted with her again. But
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
I mean, it's just well shot again.
Oh, thanks.
The whole mixing of the range and how you told a story
Yeah.
of them on the cattle drive, and that was really well done. Well done. Tim.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a fun time doing it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I mean, tonight was really it was great having you on tonight.
First of all, good to chat with you again, and
Yeah, good to
after
see
so
you
long.
again.
But
I know,
yeah,
man.
it's good to talk about our industry. I love what we do. I love the people we do it with.
Yes.
I just hope it can rebound and become what
I think
it was.
will. I think it will. Yeah. I
so.
mean, it's just it's gonna take confidence for that one shoe to drop, as they
Yeah.
say, for one meeting to go, and everything goes good, and then it's just gonna be a snowball effect. That's what I'm hoping, and that's
Yeah.
what a lot
Yeah,
of
somebody
people,
open the floodgates and let it go.
Well, I mean, look, Tim, it's business,
Right.
and it's you can't. No one's independently wealthy that can support themselves, even with the government's assistance.
Oh.
All this time. I mean, even if we go into like April, that's don't even go there. My God,
Yeah.
I can see the fall. Even January, but to get into next year and still doing this is,
Yeah.
I mean, I love this. This is like a new thing
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. And who knows? If I need a sponsor. So anybody out there listening, I need a sponsor.
Need a sponsor.
Yeah, but no, it was awesome having you on tonight, Tim. Best to you and the family.
Good being with
you. I hope everything is okay down there, and
Doing good.
and yeah, so hope to see you out there in the field, and we'll check you out next time.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, man.
Thanks.
All right. So, oh man, that Tim is the best. He's an old friend, and he's just very talented person. Very, very talented. So tune in again on Thursday night when we have a local hero from 9/11 come in the show, and he's also he runs a theater, a local theater in Farmingdale, New York, and he's Joe Di Pietro. He's an Italian fella, and but he's a local hero in our town. And so tune in again on Thursday night at 9 p.m. And that's all we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Follow me on all the social media, including TikTok, believe it or not. And hey, we'll never know if you have an interesting story, and I can use you on the show. I put the spotlight on you. So send me an email or look me up on social media, and we'll chat. Okay? Have a good night, and good night, America.
you